Negotiators prepare to iron out verification issues as six-party talks resume in Beijing on the DPRK's nuclear disarmament. The Palestinian Prime Minister and Israeli Defense Minister meet to discuss the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Suspected militants make a deadly raid on a NATO transport terminal in Pakistan, destroying dozens of vehicles. And Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez gathers support for a new attempt to abolish presidential term limits. Ni hao and a very warm welcome to Worldwide Watch on CCTV International. I'm Edwin Ma in Beijing. A new round of six-party nuclear talks opens here in the capital today. Top US nuclear negotiator Christopher Hill says the issue of verifying nuclear materials will be the main hurdle. Li Xiang reports.
US, South Korean and Japanese nuclear negotiators met on Sunday in Beijing for discussions ahead of Monday's talks. The six nations involved in the talks on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's nuclear disarmament, China, Russia, Japan, the United States, South Korea and the DPRK meet on Monday morning in Beijing for the first time in more than 4 months. On the eve of the new round of talks, the top U.S. nuclear negotiator Christopher Hill stressed the importance of the negotiations.
Obviously, we're at a very important phase. We've got a lot to do at this round. We're looking at the issue of getting fuel oil deliveries. The South Koreans have done a lot of work on that. We've tried to assist them on that. We're looking at how to get the remaining disablement activities done. And most importantly, we're looking at trying to get this verification stuff done.
The DPRK agreed last year to disable its nuclear reactor in exchange for aid. But Pyongyang recently denied having agreed to allow inspectors to take samples from its nuclear complex to verify its past activities. Hill said there was no reason for Pyongyang to reject the sampling, since it was one of a number of verification methods. He also said sampling was not unusual, not new, and not anything Pyongyang should be objecting to. The new round of negotiations are expected to focus on how to verify the DPRK's accounting of its program. But negotiators have said they expect the process to be difficult. Japan's top nuclear envoy noted that it will be tough to work out a detailed plan for verifying Pyongyang's past nuclear activities. He said that's because a big gap still remains between the U.S. and the DPRK. Li Xiang, CCTV.
The Palestinian Prime Minister Salam Fayyad and Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak have met in Jerusalem. Their meeting on Sunday focused on Israel's goodwill gestures to help boost the Fatah government's image in the West Bank during the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha. Israel is set to release more than 200 Palestinian prisoners this week as part of its friendly gestures. Also on the meeting agenda was rocket attacks from the Gaza Strip, which Israel said had forced it to seal crossings into the coastal enclave. The blockade has plunged Gaza into a humanitarian crisis and sparked an international outcry. Dozens of university and religious students rallied in front of the Saudi Arabian embassy in Tehran on Sunday. They were protesting over the silence of Arab states as Israel tightens its closure of Gaza's borders. The students demanded an end to the oppression of Palestinians in the Palestinian territories. They chanted anti-Israeli and anti-American slogans and also burned pictures showing meetings of Saudi Arabian and other Arab state officials with their Israeli and US counterparts. Although the embassy was heavily guarded by police, the protesters tried to push them aside in an attempt to attack the embassy. The students called on the immediate ending of the blockade of the Gaza Strip on both the Israeli Gaza and the Egyptian Gaza borders. US Senator John McCain has met the Afghan President Hamid Karzai and toured the southern province of Helmand. McCain arrived in Afghanistan on Saturday with 2 other senators. They're on a regional tour as members of the Senate Armed Services Committee. After landing in Kabul, McCain described the situation in Helmand as tough. He said coalition forces and Taliban fighters in southern Afghanistan are now in a stalemate, and the situation is getting worse. Before coming to Afghanistan, the three senators also visited Iraq, India and Pakistan. And in Pakistan, suspected militants have attacked a Pakistani transport terminal used to supply NATO and US troops in Afghanistan, killing a guard and burning dozens of vehicles. Police say about 30 assailants, armed with guns and rockets, attacked the terminal near the city of Peshawar, and 62 vehicles were destroyed. But the terminal manager says 106 vehicles were destroyed, including 62 carrying Humvees. He says his terminal handles only trucks transporting military supplies for Afghanistan. Up to 75% of supplies for Western forces in the country pass through Pakistan after being unloaded from ships at the Arabian Sea port of Karachi. NATO is seeking to open alternative routes through Central Asia. US President-elect Barack Obama says the US economy seems destined to get worse before it can get better again. The latest figures show that US employers have eliminated over 500,000 jobs in November alone. Obama says his administration is going to act swiftly on a recovery plan and a new stimulus package. Meanwhile, Congress and the White House are working on a deal for roughly $15 billion for the big three of the US auto industry. Obama says they can't be allowed to collapse.
What we have to do is to provide them with assistance, but that assistance is conditioned on them making significant adjustments. They're going to have to restructure, and all their stakeholders are going to have to restructure. Labor's management, shareholders, creditors, everybody's going to recognize that they do not have a sustainable business model right now. And if they expect taxpayers to help in that adjustment process, then they can't keep on putting off the kinds of changes that they frankly should have made 20 or 30 years ago.
In Greece, protests against the fatal police shooting of a teenager in Athens erupted into chaos on Sunday as rioters rampaged through the streets. Youths wearing hoods smashed storefronts and cars in the Greek capital. Riot police responded with tear gas, while the fire department rushed to extinguish blazes. The death of a 16-year-old boy by a police special guard the previous night also triggered extensive riots in other Greek cities, with youths burning shops, torching cars and setting up flaming barricades on the streets. The Interior Minister promised to conduct a thorough investigation into the teenager's death and punish anyone found responsible. Both the minister and his deputy submitted their resignations, which were not accepted by the Prime Minister. The Royal Netherlands Navy has escorted a vessel with 7,000 tons of aid from the UN World Food Programme into Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. Andrew Dupuy reports.
Both vessels set off from Kenya, traveling through the pirate-ridden waters of the Indian Ocean to reach their destination.
And we've escorted Ibn Battuta for the final part of a voyage to Mogadishu port. And for the last few nautical miles we give her an escort with 2 small boats with special forces in it to give her extra security until she reaches the port or go at anchorage.
Rampant piracy and attacks on aid workers have left the impoverished Horn of Africa nation in dire need of humanitarian aid. A senior shipping officer at the World Food Programme said the agency has delivered 50,000 tons of food aid to Somalia by ship in the last month. He estimated it took about 10 ships to deliver the aid. Andrew Dupuy, CCTV.